Hello, hello, and welcome to Power of the Pen. I am LaWanna Bradford here with my partner and the co-founder of an amazing community that we started, which is called Celebrate You, Women Embracing Wellness, the amazing Miss Barbara Beckley. How's it going, Barbara?
It's going great. Power of the pen, yes.
Power of the Pen, Power of the Pen. And we today, Power of the Pen comes on weekly. We are on one of the shows on E360 TV. So to our E360 TV listening audience, thank you for joining us every Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Central Time. And to those of you who are viewing on Facebook, Roku, where else are they viewing us on? Apple TV and Samsung TV, as well as YouTube. Welcome to another edition of Power of the Pen. And today, Barbara Beckley and I are going to be talking about taking center stage, 3 keys to reaching the masses. So I'm going to tell you just briefly a little bit about me. Barbara can tell you a little bit about her and why this topic is so important to us. So I am a best-selling author, international speaker, teacher, global leader, and known as the connector. I help businesses and individuals, big businesses, like the billion-dollar companies, as well as the smaller businesses, help to navigate their way to success by positioning themselves in an ever-changing, dynamic world. I basically find opportunity in the chaos, creating stepping stones where you may only see stumbling blocks. I am honored and privileged to be sitting next to, as I said, my business partner. I'm going to turn it over to her to tell you a little bit about her, who she is.
Yes, thank you. And my name is Barbara J. Beckley. I am what I call myself the Diamond in You expert. And what I do basically, I'm a purpose, visibility, and social media strategist. And I help especially women understand, first of all, dig into deep in their purpose. And then from that point, what we always say, you need to be visible. People need to know who you are, how important you are, how important that diamond is, that gift that you have in you. So that's what I do to help women in the world to get to that point. And I'm just ready to kind of dig into this topic.
I love it. I love it. So, taking center stage. What do we mean by taking center stage? This is actually literally, not figuratively, standing in your message in front of an audience, whether it's at a conference, at a seminar, at a workshop, live and or virtual. And this message is so important to Barbara and I because we in our journey in partnership, we've been talking about that we hear the cries, especially of women authors, women who have a great message that, I want to be seen, I want to be heard, I want to just captivate an audience, yet there's this ongoing struggle. There is this begging and pleading, please get me on your stage, please bring me on my show. Well, you want to position yourself where you get the knock on the door, right? Or you get that phone call that says, hey, I saw you, I heard this, I read your book, and because of this message, I think it's going to resonate and be a benefit to my clients. So Barbara, why is this so important? Because I know with you and what you're doing as far as the purpose, the passion, and the drive, and the whole visibility component, you often talk to your clients a lot about this.
Yes. I always say that why keep a treasure hidden? Why keep a treasure hidden? And what I mean by that is you have a treasure in you. You have that gift, what you do. And don't hide it because there's so many other people out there that need that. Either need your expertise, that needs your, counseling, whatever you have, whatever that purpose is. So that's why I always tell my clients, you have to be known in certain areas, especially according to what your why is, what we talked about last week, according to what you're trying to put out there. So it doesn't make sense, and I'm just putting it bluntly out there, to keep it hidden or don't, be like, well, I don't think so, or I don't know what platforms. I mean, you still ask these questions. I'm like, but you need to really look at that So you can be like, we're talking about power of the pen. So that power of that pen, your book as an author, when we're getting down to this part, is being shown where it needs to be shown so people know who you are.
I love that. So the first step, and this kind of ties back if you have been watching some of the episodes where we come on to Power of the Pen. Power of the Pen, for those of you joining us for the first time, is designed to spotlight, elevate the written word and spoken word of women, as well as those that may have been written and spoken by men that help to elevate and expand the reach of women. And Barbara and I come on periodically to do little trainings. So if you've been following our latest trainings, we've been giving little teasers, putting little breadcrumbs out there. It's the things you need to consider when you're looking at creating awareness, creating exposure. And so we're not going to go over those things again, but we want to talk about something that is very important. The first thing is, who do you want to reach? Right? I can say I want to be on someone's stage, but all stages are created equal, Barbara.
Well, yeah, because say you said, yeah, I want to reach the mass, and somebody asked me, okay, I get on my stage, we're going to be talking about golf. Well, that's basically not what I talk about. But am I going to squeeze myself on the stage of golf just because they asked me and they said, come on, I have the stage? And then you're squeezing yourself. So now you're becoming what you're not. So you have to make sure that looking at the stages to reach the people that you're trying to reach makes sense.
Exactly. And as we've mentioned before, it's so easy to get excited just to be seen. I just want somebody to see me, someone to listen to me, right? But if it's the wrong stage, or maybe it's not the right timing, right? We'll get into that a little bit. But if it's the wrong stage, then you just invested your time, your energy, whether it's 10 minutes, 30 minutes, or an hour, talking to people who, can I be raw, Barbara? Don't care.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Because it's not resonating with them.
Yeah.
Right? It's not what they're looking for. So it's like, okay, well, that's nice to know, but this doesn't help me. So we'll use an example, like you said, if it's golf, well, let's say if it is a conference and the conference is about parenting, and someone says, hey, would you like to be on this stage? But you have no experience in parenting. It may be a little hard to connect with your audience unless somehow you're able to weave a story of maybe mentorship, or perhaps you were a surrogate, like an auntie or something showing up. But it makes it a little bit challenging, not impossible. But again, is that your targeted audience when you may have written something that has nothing to do with parenting, but you saw this opportunity and you raised your hand and said, choose me, pick me. And the one thing that I see, Barbara, a lot of, and I like to get your take, are these collaborative books, which you and I have been a part of. And collaborative books are great. And we've talked about that in past sessions. But again, let's look at the collaborative book as a stage. And you're using the collective voices of everyone to expand your reach, your impact, and possibly even your influence and income. But if you say yes to a book just to be in a book for book's sake, just to say, hey, look, I've been in, X number of books. Okay, why should that impress anyone? What are you doing with it? And is the message that you've written landed on the right ears or landed for the right eyes to read? Barbara.
I was laughing while you were saying that, because, and I'm going to be full disclosure, because we learn from each other, right? So I have done that in a few collaboration books where I just jumped and said, "Ooh, they picked me," or "Ooh, that's opportunity." I'm running to it and putting money there and getting in the book. And then now the book is somewhere on the shelf somewhere, and I had to pull one of them. Wonderful authors in there, but I shouldn't have been in that book. I mean, I had to literally tell myself that wasn't the platform, talking about, centering ourselves. that wasn't the platform for me at that time. So I had to take a good look at that and say to myself, okay, I need to be, just because people target you and say, woo woo Barbara or woo woo LaWanna, you should be here, that don't mean that the target goes the same way. You can say, thank you, appreciate you, thank you, seeing my talents and my gifts. But right now, that is not really the stage that I should be on, or that's not the reach that I'm, that's going to be reaching to. So it's okay to say that's not it. Or like LaWanna said, and I think we're going to go into that in a minute, is the timing.
Exactly. And what you were saying as far as who do you want to reach? I was thinking about my very first collaborative book. I was just so excited. Yay, yay, yay. And I told Barbara, I said, that wasn't the right decision. Good message, wrong audience. And again, it's having the conversation with that collaborator, whoever's putting this book together, to find out, what is your vision? What is your why? Who is your intended audience for this book? How are you going to reach the audience? Right? And now, does it align with your vision, with where you plan on going? Does it align with your intended audience? It may not. So let's take that back to the stage, Barbara. Going to the stage is the same thing. If someone invites you to a stage, or you find yourself interested in being on the stage, having those conversations is really important to find out, number one, who are they reaching out to? And is that your audience? So for example, if you are a business guru and your audience happens to be very specific African-American business women who are in midlife, that's your audience, because I've met people who are very niche specific. If that is who you have carved out as your audience, and you have someone who has a business conference, but 80% of their audience are everything but African American women, and most of their audience are not middle-aged, is that your audience? And so many people think, well, of course, because I'm talking to women. No, if you were very specific in designing your avatar, very clear, African American woman, middle age, whatever that happens to look like, who is a business owner, then why are you speaking to this broader stage, and those aren't the clients you want to serve? Now you can use it to create awareness. So maybe it's more of a brand recognition that you want to do. Maybe you're trying to create collaborations. Maybe there's some partnerships, so you can see other business experts as a resource to bring to your stage to help you educate and provide resource needs for your community. I don't know. But again, going back to what we talked about before, when you know your why and you know your who, then it helps you to expand that reach. And I know I can say I've been on stages and I'm thinking, wow, okay, great opportunity. And I think I told you, speaking about mortgages to a community, that it added value to them. But guess what? They were in a state that I'm not licensed to do business. So it was great. I spoke on stage. I gave them information that they could use. But guess what? They couldn't come back to me to do business, because every call I received was, oh, great. I'm glad you were able to listen to me, hear what I had to say. I'm sorry, I have to refer you to someone in your local area. Mm-hmm. So again, it's really important to know who you want to reach. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about the next one. Have you developed your strategy? And we're going to link time into this. Your strategy. So that's the how you're going to get there. That's the time commitment that you're going to put into it, and also the resource, because time is a resource. The money. And the win-win that you want to have. So let's talk about that strategy, Barbara. I mean, how many people just take that shotgun approach? Let's see what hits or what sticks, right? And we'll just use hope methodology. I just hope it works. but there is no true strategic thinking to why you want to be platformed, why you want to be spotlighted, why you want to take center stage, and how you're going to get there to yield the results that you want to see for yourself, for your business, for your reach, for your impact. Barbara.
Yeah, this is what I always, mention to people I talk to, just friends and clients, is that you need to have a plan of action or game plan, whatever you want to call it. I mean, I always tell people, name it, but name it that it somewhere down the line is called strategy, because you need to make sure that you're making sense to yourself first. It starts with you. It doesn't start with all these platforms that are out there. It starts with you, because once you put it down, what you're trying to do, how much time does the message that you say really blend in with that stage? Okay. Does that particular individual that you're going to, because if it doesn't match up, you think about it. You pick a stage, it might not match up with you, or it might not be your center stage that you need. And then you're not just doing it just justice to you, you're doing disjustice to the to the whole, like if a conference or whatever you're part of, because now it's like you two are not in sync in here. So when it starts to come out, when you have to put yourself out there and start talking about it and having it in you, because you should be having that little passion, as I call it, in you, saying, yeah, I want to be on the stage, that kind of slows down a little bit, because at the beginning part you just strategize and this is not really that fit. So that's why you got to and I could talk more about that when we get into other keys, but it starts with you. That's why you got to plan your strategic way of what you're trying to do, what you're trying to put out there, what you're trying to speak on, what you want the reach is about.
Yes, yes. I am LaWanna Bradford with my co-host for today's Power of the Pen, Barbara Beckley, and we are here talking about taking center stage, 3 keys to reach the masses. We talked about key number 1, who do you want to reach, really honing that, crafting that, and right now developing your strategy. Have you developed a strategy, or are you just using hope methodology and hoping that you will get the results that you want? Now let's weave time into this, Barbara, because we know timing is so important. And this is how I use time to benefit me when I'm taking any stage. And that could be a podcast, right? That could be on someone's TV show, whether streaming or regular. It could be on a radio show. It doesn't matter. Anytime I'm in front of a broader audience that is beyond my current sphere of influence, I have to think about the timing. And that timing can also be any sort of social media streaming. So you've got Facebook Lives and things. So let's talk about the timing. Let's say you have a particular product launch associated with your book, but it's not there yet. And you get a knock on the door and you're like, oh gosh, I want to take this opportunity. And you get there and you say yes. But this product that you're going to, this service that you're going to have eventually, maybe 2 or 3 months down the road before it's totally finished. Well, you can say, hey, I'm on this platform and it's coming soon, but I guarantee you that viewing audience is going to forget about it's coming soon. Unless somehow you have some sort of pipeline program linked to that platform so that you can continue ongoing communication, sort of that drip campaign, keeping up that anticipation so that when you have that launch, you have a close, you have a sale, you have an offer, you can ask, right? And I always encourage people to think about what it is that you have going on, because if you're doing business and your authorship in a strategic way, you've already planned 6 months to a year out where you want to be, the types of stages and platforms you want to be on. You're diversifying your reach, and you know what things you have as far as new offerings. So why not strategically place them during those key times?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that would make sense, right? I know, like with Barbara and I, when we had our award show, well, we already knew months and months in advance when it was going to be. So when we started to position ourselves for radio shows and and TV interviews and press releases, we schedule those in advance. We're like, yes, we want to be on here, but can we get there towards the end of March? Because we wanted to leverage that so that we could say, oh, by the way, you can register in 2 weeks. It's coming to you. Register today, rather than it's coming and wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it. Because you want people to give them a sense of urgency. And it's a little hard when there's a big lag between that talk and that ultimate product, Barbara.
Yeah, that's so true. I always say, like, just add to what LaWanna's saying, is that, you take the date of whatever that event is that you're going to be a part of, and then go backwards. So you got to tell yourself, okay, at this point in time, it starts on, let's just say, we'll pick September of this year. So now we're in July. So take September 1st, you're going to be speaking on stage on your whatever you're going to be talking about, your topic or what have you. And then you plan out. You start looking at different avenues that you want to start promoting. You start looking at other things that you got to put together. Maybe you need to put a landing page together. Maybe they're telling you can give a free gift. I mean, that's the kind of stuff you have to find out so you can plan that out. You can do the drip promoting, but you have to make sure you're putting the right drips at the right time. So that's important.
Exactly. And I like what you said. Into our viewing audience, on whether you're on E360, any of our streaming platforms, welcome. As we talk about taking center stage, 3 keys to reach the masses. I love that, because you took what I brought in and you gave us the other side of the coin, that what if you already have a speaking engagement, right? So you're using this speaking engagement as a way to create this momentum around it, this engagement around it, this enhancing the awareness around it. So now do you see how it starts to spin, and you're creating this whirlpool effect that has more impact. It creates more momentum, rather than this one moment in time, dead, then something else, one moment in time, dead. So again, with whether it was my example or what Barbara said, this is again part of the strategy. And I'm going to put up here, have you developed a strategy? You want to think about, how do I create continuity in my message, in my presence, as I go stage to stage, mic to mic? How do I do that so that I'm not, oops, here's LaWanna. Where's LaWanna? She's quiet. Oh, there's LaWanna again. No, you want people to say LaWanna, 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 because you're always communicating in different ways, in different platforms, your message, until you get to that ultimate, whether it's that big ask or sale or that ultimate speaking platform, but it's consistency. So let's go into that, Barbara. I'm going to throw that to you. Consistency in the strategy. Barbara.
Yeah, so important. I mean, one thing about it, like LaWanna just said, if you're here, boop there, boop everywhere, they're like, okay, what, there you, over here, over there. But when you're consistent, people respect that. I don't care what anybody said. They respect that, because they see what you're doing. They can understand what you're doing, and they get with what your goals are, because now you're being consistent. I mean, think about it. I'm going to use Oprah as an example. Just as Oprah. She was 5 days out the week, 9 o'clock in the morning. We all knew that. Whatever 9 o'clock time zone you had, you knew at that time that she was going to be on every day, either with a person, talking, interviewing, or something that she had, or Oprah's books, review, whatever it was. She was consistent in doing it. And that's how she branded herself. I mean, I know we're not getting into that. That's a whole nother talk, but just a whole nother show there. But I'm just showing that consistency works well, because people start attaching themselves to you, because now they know, okay, I'm going to see LaWanna, Power of the Pen Sunday. I'm going to see Barbara, every Friday at the coach's house. I'm going to see LaWanna again next Sunday, and its consistency is there. So you have to make sure that that's in place.
Exactly. And using that example, you don't have to develop your own show. If you want to, you can. There's many ways you can do it. It's simple, inexpensive ways to do, whether it's podcast. There's many ways that you can be consistent. But let's say you don't want to have that type of obligation. We get it. But what if your message is so unique, you have a unique hook, and you wow that presenter whose stage you are on, that interviewer, that TV show host? Have you ever thought, we're talking about your strategy, have you ever thought about asking them, is there any reason why I couldn't be a returning guest on your show? Whether I come back every other month or at least once a quarter? Because now you're adding value, but you're also getting a return. And we're going to get that into that in the next key. But have you ever thought about that? I know for me, there are two platforms that I'm a regular on. I'm a regular on the Mortgage Voice, which is a national mortgage radio show. I've been a regular on this show for the past 6 years. It's hosted by Jeff Barton. And every quarter I get a call. LaWanna, you ready to rock and roll? Yes. But the thing is, you have to be on your game and how your message is relevant to, going back to timing, to the time. And I use mortgages as an example because if I don't know what's happening, I don't know what questions he may ask me. I'm a regular. So it's not that you're going to feed me questions, right? They're going to expect you as a regular guest to be prepared, to be aware of what's going on and how your message may resonate with what's happening in the world at the time. Mm-hmm. Whatever it is, right? We know what's happening with women in America and just the changes in law. Okay, well, if you happen to have written books that's talking about women and their voices and standing up in their truth and their power, and if that comes up in conversation, are you ready and prepared to take your message and weave it in to the landscape of what's happening today? Another platform that I'm a regular on is Conversations Live with Cyrus Webb. I come on as an expert in my lane. So think about how can you add value and not always be in the seat of what's in it for me. Gimme.
Yeah.
When you develop a clearly defined strategy and implement it, then you'll begin to see results. Again, a strategy just written down is nothing but a wish. It's the implementation of the strategy that yields results. And this piece here takes some time. It's not, okay, in a day I've mapped it out. It takes some thinking. Mm-hmm. What is it that you're trying to do? Yeah. The strategy may have different splinters, but what is it that you're trying to do? And how will this plan of action help you to get there? Mm-hmm. Barbara, do you have anything you want to add before we go to the next one?
Well, everything was wonderfully said, what you said, but just one little add that just to confirm what LaWanna was saying about adding value. Very important. This is another thing I always tell people. You know, it's nice to say, oh, hi, I'm Barbara Beckley. Hey, how you doing? But if I'm not giving no value and just smiling and just profiling, this whole saying goes, then that is not going to resonate with people. People are hungry right now to understand, to get awareness, to just get the knowledge of whatever's topic or whatever that you might be talking about. So when you give that value, it creates that consistency again, if we want to fall into that, because now you're giving them something that they can say to themselves, wait, I could take that little nugget that LaWanna gave me or what Barbara gave me, and I can move it somewhere in my life. So that's what people are looking for. So make sure that when you're out there on those stages, if it's your own stage or somebody else's stage, that you're giving some value for people.
Yes. Well, we're going to take a quick commercial break and we'll be right back to talk to you about the final step in your strategy, and that is having a collaborative component. If you have a book and have a message and would love to be on Power of the Pen, you can please reach out to me or Barbara Beckley. I'm LaWanna Bradford. And on Facebook, just DM us and we will make sure you get the application so that you can be spotlighted here. And we're talking about taking center stage on Power of the Pen, which airs on E360 TV and streams on Facebook, Roku, Samsung TV, and Apple TV. So the other component of developing your strategy is the collaborative piece. So within your strategy, you have different tactics, right? So this final tactic is collaboration. This is an example. Barbara and I are both best-selling authors. We're leveraging our talents and our influences to bring teachable moments to you. We're not competing with each other, but we're leveraging our styles, our reach, our influence, our exposure to help inspire, educate, and inform you so that you can ultimately expand your impact, influence, and income. So that's an example. And it didn't just happen. It was strategically talked about. We dialogued. What is this going to look like? How are we going to spin this? This is, again, our a weekly show. But there are trainings that we do as far as brand awareness, positioning, how to become memorable when you show up on stages, when you show up on podcasts. One of the things that we see is people show up in a very a way that's kind of flat, sounds like everyone else. And so we talk about how do you break free from that and show up in your authenticity, where you are so comfortable in your message, so comfortable in your book and what it shares and showcases, that you don't need to have them steer you with, give me the questions. Because when they give you the questions, ladies and gentlemen, it's putting you in a box. It's putting you in a box, and that's where you stay. And always remember, I'm going to give you one little tip. The one who controls the stage, the one who owns the stage, the one who owns the platform or the mic is always in control. Always remember that. Now the question is, how do you leverage that control to create the appearance that you are in control, to create the perception that you are in control? But by right, the one who owns the stage and owns the mic is always in control. But the question you must ask is, how do I flip that? How do I leverage it so that I give the perception that I am in control? And that's something that Barbara and I teach at one of our master classes. So now let's go on to the third piece. And let me put this in here as key number 3 is, do you know your win-win? And when we say this, when you're on any stage, when you say yes to the stage, to the mic, you've just entered into an agreement. Maybe short term or maybe long term, like the examples I gave with being on the Mortgage Voice or Conversations Live, but it is an agreement. How do you show up for that agreement? Is it one-sided, that you're really just looking at what you can give? Or are you looking, or what you can get? Let me rephrase that. Are you looking at what you can give? Not just to the audience, but to the show owner, Barbara.
Yes, that again, another strategic way. You have to put that way up front, even before you really, if you have to sign a contract, and you should be signing agreements or contracts. Before you do that, look at what's expected of you if you're signing up on that stage, and look what your expectations are for yourself. So you got to see that those two blend together. If you sign up and they say, well, you know what, you need to do this when it comes to this, or you have to show up here or show up there. And then in your mind, you're like, well, I usually just do one thing. I'm not going to be showing. Well, then there's a problem. There's going to be a problem already. So get that up front before you start saying, ooh, they got me signed on that dotted line. And then they say, well, you're supposed to do this, Barbara. What happened here? You're supposed to promote here. We're supposed to have a conversation. And then all of a sudden you're like, well, whoa, where did all this come from? So you got to make sure that, you're talking about the win, you got to make sure that the win-win is up front being talked about. Those expectations need to be out there so you know and they know, you both know where you're standing.
Yeah, that was brilliantly stated, Barbara. Exactly. I mean, I couldn't say it any better. It's having that conversation up front, reading the document that you typically, if you're taking a formal stage, whether it's live or virtual, there's typically a speaker's agreement. Reading it, understanding what it is, and if it doesn't fit you for whatever reason, don't accept it. That's so unfair, right? Because on the other end, there's typically in a speaker's agreement a part that says, this is what we expect from you. But then there's the other side that says, this is what we give you. In a court of law, when you have a contractual agreement, if one party doesn't meet their obligation, it's considered a breach, right? So you want to make sure that you are always operating from a seat of integrity. That if you are going to say yes to any stage, any speaking engagement, that's going to help you take center stage, to maximize your reach, right? To reach the masses, then you probably have to say, well, what are they going to do for me? If I'm coming to deliver this message for this audience, and I've already assessed that this audience is my reach, it fits my strategy, what are they doing for me? And you look at, oh, wow, they're going to do all this promotion, all this campaigning, all this branding for me. Well, ladies, if you didn't think about it, it's not free. None of that is free. And sometimes we tend to not think about that because we may not have had to come out of our pocket for it, but someone is paying for that. I don't know, unless you do, Barbara, any little, genies that are popping out of the bottle, creating banners and videos and other things, that it just magically happens. So if there is a resource requirement to make this happen, who's paying it? So think about that when you're saying yes to opportunities, because the stage or the mic is investing in you. Yeah. So in turn, what is your in-kind investment that you're giving to them? It's not monetary. Is it at least co-promoting? And if you're not co-promoting, then are you really tapped in, tuned in, sold out for you and your message? Is it really about what can we do together to help one another? Again, I love what Shay Brown says, collaboration crushes competition. When we come together and unite, magic can happen. Magic can really happen, Barbara.
Yes, and I wanted to add to that even, say you don't have the contract, the paper contract or the agreement. And sometimes that happens. Sometimes you might get together and they say, I want you to be on my show, or I want you to be on my podcast. Are you open to doing that? And then you do okay, yes. At that point in time, ask the question to yourself, what's the win-win on both ends, and what expectations are there? Even if they don't put in front of you an agreement or a contract, you still have to think in your mind, going back to the key one that we talked about, T2, about being strategic and understanding, what platforms that you're looking for to be on, to get to the masses, like you're trying to do, what you're trying to do. You got to see that fit. And then you got to see the expectations, because they can sit there and say, be on the show, be on my whatever. And then all of a sudden, 2 days later, ask you for all this to do. And in your mind, you're like, well, wait a minute. Again, you got that, wait a minute, I didn't sign up for this, or I didn't know this was going to happen, or maybe this is not my niche, or, all of a sudden all that starts coming out. That's why it's so important at the beginning, because that could just not create a whole lot of confusion, a lot of time, like LaWanna says, spent for both sides when you do that up front.
And it can unfortunately sour and damage relationships when if you enter an agreement and then you don't hold up your end of the bargain. So I'm going to give you an example. I was signed up, it was this time last year, to be on a show. So I signed up in July to be on a show that was going to record in November. That's how far in advance this particular platform books their podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you're in a waiting line just to get on this amazing show, and it was brilliant. And it was a paid platform. I had to pay to get on it, and some people are like, "Well, I don't pay to speak," and that's not what we're doing. Typically, when you're paying, what you're paying for is all the marketing and promotion. So when I was going through the qualifying, because she qualifies her guests, she first started off with everything that I was going to get. And I thought, wow, that's a heavy lift. All of this pre-promotion that started months before the show. It's like, LaWanna's coming soon. LaWanna's coming soon. She asked me to do a couple things. And one thing was to take a photo with her physical banner that she mailed to me, saying, "Hello, this is me, LaWanna. I'm going to be on this show coming up." And you better believe I did it, because she would have been on the phone, because there was a certain time that she wanted that done. Now, what if I hadn't? What if I hadn't done that? It's a simple ask. That's all she said. "I'd like you to take this photo," because one of the interview questions was, "Where are you on social media?" So she knew all the places, my social media sites. I had to provide that to her. That was the only ask. Post this on your social media, on all social media. And then the week before, post it again. So it was her only ask. Barbara.
And you think about that, and some people be like, "Oh golly, they're telling me to post this. What? Again, I got to do this. I got to take a picture. Really?" Think about this. Okay, go back to what you signed up for, what you're trying to do. You're trying to get that visibility. You're getting the visibility. In fact, like LaWanna said, sometimes you're paying for the marketing stuff that they're doing, and they're marketing. So now you got a third party doing who you're about, marketing for you. And then we sometimes whine about why we have to post 2 times. That to me is not a big ask at all, especially when okay, let's get selfish for a second here. It's about you.
Hello.
So there should be no complaints if that's the case.
Now, Barbara, I was thinking about, you were on a recent show, and I was laughing, and I'm familiar with their platform and how aggressive they are with promotions. And you said you received like a spreadsheet telling you what you were supposed to post on a particular day of the week. I mean, it was that prescriptive. And then I think because you were a little late in your promotions, because you weren't getting the emails, they said, "Okay, well, we need you to promote every hour." Every hour. Barbara had already entered that agreement. Every hour. That happens. So you have some people that are a little bit more flexible, but when we're talking about reaching the masses, then it's our collective work, right? Mm-hmm. It's the work of the stage and the mic, and then your work. Because as you're promoting, so this is sometimes some people don't think about, as you're promoting the platform that you're going to be on, it's a nice subtle marketing of your host. It's a nice subtle way for them to also expand their reach, their impact, their influence. While you are the main spotlight, it's a subtle just, "Hey, by the way, I'm going to be on," like you notice here, I've been talking and introducing this platform, but we are housed on E360 TV. And have you noticed I've just woven that in? Just woven it in. And let me show you where it is also. Right here. Right at the bottom left. It's a soft branding. It's a soft compliment. It doesn't take away from me, but it lets people know, if you want to see Power of the Pen, we may be streaming everywhere else, but we're housed on E360 TV. Not a big ask. Pretty simple to do. I'm here anyway talking, throw in an E360 TV. How much effort did that take, right? Not much. Barbara.
Yeah, it's the win-win. And when you think about it, again, just going back to what the whole thing is, what we're talking about being center stage is, you have third party. I'm gonna keep going back, taking center stage. You got third party, and your third party is the stages that you're going to be on. And when you want people, if you're speaking or if you're talking about your book or anything that that you're talking about, period, when you want them to see you, I mean, isn't that the whole thing? When you think about it, you go back and say, well, yeah, I want people to see me, right? We're talking about the visibility. So why you're not putting posts and signs and talking about, hey, I'm going to be over here, instead of complaining and saying, well, dang, I got to put that up again. Well, yeah. Do you want them to see you and hear you about what you bring to the universe? Well, yeah, I do. Well, yeah, put the post up. I'm just keeping it real, right? I'm just keeping it real, because if you don't do it, they're not going to know where you're at. They're not going to know that you signed up on the stage. They're not going to know the date and all that stuff. They're not going to know the person that's putting you up there, because, again, you're using their leverage because people know them to get to know you.
Right. And especially when it is a gift. I don't like using the term free, because nothing is free. Someone is paying the cost. Someone is paying the price. It is never free. So please get the free out of your head. You don't speak anywhere for free. Someone had paid for that platform, paid for that airtime, paid for that hosting site, paid for the advertising, the promotion. It is never free. But what I do want you to think about is the gift. When you are gifted, where you don't have to pay any upfront cost out of your pocket, monetary cost, and you've been gifted that, don't take it as though you are entitled. Think of it as a gift. That gift could have been given to anyone. Got 7.5 billion people in the world. But somehow the stars aligned and you were granted this gift. How do you receive it? Do you receive it in a way that's accepting, that celebrates, that lets the world know, wow, look at this gift I received? Or do you hide it under a rock? You don't tell anyone about it. Think about it. Again, there's 7.5 billion people in the world. There are many people who would jump at the opportunity to have a platform or a mic to share their story, to share their message, to create impact, influence, and income. You are not the only game in town. I don't care how unique your message is. But if you want to be heard and you want to reach the masses, you need to determine who you want to reach. Develop that strategy. Let me put that back up here. Develop that strategy. And really focus on that win-win. Because when you focus on the win-win, and we have a training called that, focus on the win-win, to be invited back again, that's when you know you've hit the sweet spot of momentum, when they want you to come back. Right? That means you've touched something that their audience needs. And the next thing that we'll talk about next week is not only the three stages to reach. Let me back up. 3 ways to repurpose your stage and mic presence. So we're going to talk about 3 steps to repurpose your stage and mic presence. And it works really well when you've already developed that win-win. Why? Because that stage and mic that you were on are going to give you some more momentum behind you, because they already see what you're doing as far as repurposing, and now they're slapping you with endorsement after endorsement after endorsement. How sweet is that? So we'll get into that next week. We wanted to spend this month talking about some of the training elements. Next week, Barbara and I are going to give you some dates of our upcoming mini master classes, which I believe we're going to start for the quarter three. Well, we're in quarter three, are we? Almost. Basically, it's going to start in August through the end of the year. We're going to do them on Clubhouse, and then we'll have our master classes, which will be on Zoom. And I think we're scheduling 3 or 4 master classes for the rest of the year. So we're going to do some minis on Clubhouse. We'll do some master classes also here, as well as on Zoom. So we thank you so much for joining us for this special taking center stage 3 keys to reach the masses. And definitely I'm going to put our contact information here, Barbara, and you can just speak to them while I do that. You're on mute.
I just looked at it. I just want to say again, to wrap up on my end, and first of all, thank you, LaWanna, for letting me be co-host today for Power of the Pen, and just being center, talking about being center stage. Don't think, because some people get in their mind, well, I don't want to be selfish. That might be, you have to, the selfishness is making sure whatever that you created that's in you, and you're saying you want to reach the masses, that's not being selfish. The selfish part is when you hide it. That's the selfish. So it's you're looking at it a different way. You're looking at it the wrong way. You need to be selfish to put it out there, because you want people to know who you are and what you bring to the table in life. So that's why I want to leave it there.
Yeah, it's real important. The world is hungry for messages on different scales, and I believe that it's a time for now at this appointed time that you were designed for the now, for your message to reach people that only you were intended to reach. Mm-hmm. But again, looking at the whole impact, you can go farther together. So think about your reach. Think about what it is you're trying to do. Think about the 3 steps that we gave you. Who do you want to reach? Have you developed a strategy? And what is the win-win? And see how you can weave that into your presence as an author, as a speaker. And stay tuned as Barbara and I come back next week to talk about the 3 steps to repurposing your material for impact, influence, and income. And with that, I want to close by saying, please remember that in life and in business, when your vision intersects with opportunity, success is inevitable. I'm LaWanna Bradford with my co-founder, Barbara Beckley. Remember, your voice matters, and always leverage the power of the pen. Until next time, bye, everyone.